Welcome to Legacy Minutes for January 7th, 2020. I was having a conversation with my two youngest children today about the subject of obedience. You see, the issue is that these two share a lot of chores around the house. And often when one will step in for the other, say one of them's out of the house, so the brother has to step in for his sister to do her chore, he wants to make sure that the system of fairness is kept in play. And what that means is that the next time mom says, hey, go feed the horses, he wants to say, hey, no, it's actually her turn to feed the horses because I did it last time. The problem with that is, or the problem that I have with that is when mom says go feed the horses, just go feed the horses. It's not time for an argument. It's not time to pull out the judge and jury and figure out whose turn it actually is. It's just time to obey. And as I was thinking about that this evening, I was really struck by the fact that we do the same thing as godly men, as biblical men, as Christian men. We do the same thing with the Lord. He tells us to do certain things. Lead your family. Love your wife as Christ loved the church. Don't make your children angry. Things along those lines. He calls us to live in a certain way. And often we want to sort of step in there and say, but God. But God. And that's always an interesting phrase, but God, where we would stop and when God calls us to do something, we would want to have that same sort of conversation that my son was having with my wife. But let me explain to you, God, why I think it's not actually my job to go out and do what you're calling me to do. Men, we're not the only ones to have this problem. In fact, there's a chapter in the Bible in Matthew chapter 23. It's called the Seven Woes, where Jesus is specifically speaking to religious men about their negligence to obey God. He's telling them things like, hey, you've got some mint, cumin, and dill, and this is actually basil, but it's the best I've got. You've got some mint, cumin, and dill, and you're totally willing to take 10% of that and give that to the Lord. But the weightier matters of the law, justice and faithfulness and mercy, those things you're lacking in. You're negligent to give God what he's actually asking for. And what Jesus was saying was, it's really a matter of the heart. Where's your heart? It's not about the things that you do, though obedience is important, but it's about where is your heart? Is your heart wanting to serve? Is your heart wanting to love? Is your heart putting God above all, that you would be willing to step out in faith and do whatever he's called you to do? As we walk this walk of a legacy man, God is going to call us to big things. If we want to be men that uphold the foundations of many generations, God's going to call us to do big and sometimes heavy things. In fact, sometimes those big, heavy things are actually small things where he's asking us to take a small step of faith, to step out without really knowing what's going on. And a legacy man is a man who steps out and follows God in faith, really, when it doesn't seem fair, when it seems hard, when there's a part of him that wants to step in and say, but God. Man, I'm going to challenge you today as we step into this idea of wanting to be a biblical man, of wanting to live biblical manhood, of wanting to be legacy men, to stop saying, but God, and start saying, yes, God. Yes, God, I will follow you. Yes, God, I will do what you say. Yes, God, if you want me to go feed the horses, I will go feed the horses. Yes, God, I will love my wife as Christ loved the church. Yes, God, I will serve my kids so that I don't lead them to a place of anger and frustration with me as a father. Yes, God, I will repent. Yes, God, I will get on my knees and pray. Whatever God's calling you to do, men, just say, yes, God, I'm here. I'm your servant. Call me to what it is, and watch God build you and use you and make you into the legacy man he wants you to be. Until next time, God bless.